大家好, 여러분, 안녕하세요. minasan, konnichiwa. Today is the 2nd of February 2025, and this is the 13th weekly update. Right? I know that I was supposed to have an update last weekend, but it has been a very busy past 2 weeks, which is why I did not do an update last weekend, and instead I have a pretty big update this week instead, right? So one of the reasons why it's been busy for me is because it is Chinese New Year, right? So 新年快乐, right? So 2025 is the year of the snake, sir, right? So I have been busy with the Lunar New Year, which started last week, right? So I had to prepare for it and then was celebrating it, right? So in case you don't know about the what animal, right, is the year, right? There's a table, right? So the zodiac, there are 12 zodiacs, and it basically cycles through the 12 zodiacs. This year is 2025. Over here, I'm not so sure if you can see it, but it's under the snake year, right? So the start of the year of 2025 until Chinese New Year is technically still the dragon year, right? And from the first day of the Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year, it will then turn into the snake year, right? And then it will run all throughout the year until next year's Lunar New Year, and then it will become a horse year, right? Okay. So, reading from the left to the right, we have red, which is Su, ox, which is new, tiger, Lao, sorry, hare, Tu, dragon, Long. This is in traditional Chinese script, so 繁体字, right? Snake, 蛇, horse, 马, ram, 羊, monkey, 猴, rooster, 鸡, dog, 狗, and pig is 猪, right? So 12 zodiac in Chinese. You can figure out which animal you are. But like I said, the only confusing thing is if you're born between the months of, I would say, January to March, to be safe, you should check when was Lunar New Year on the year that you were born, so that you can find out which horoscope, which zodiac you are. If your birth year is before, if your birthday is before or after Chinese New Year, right? Because, for example, like I said, if you are born, let's say 5th of January 2025, technically still a dragon, right? And only from last Wednesday, right? Which is this week's Wednesday, but last Wednesday, you would be a snake, right? I mean, it's just a Chinese zodiac, right? So anyway, yes. So last week's plan, I did say I'll do 1 hour of italki lessons. I managed to do 2 hours of them, right? HSK material, I have managed to download all of them and I have prepared myself to do them, but I have not actually started on the HSK material, right? I did have my 2 lessons of 2 italki lessons. So with my first teacher, we would talk about daily life and any useful vocabulary or vocabulary that I am grasping at. She would basically help me with it. So this is some of the vocabulary that I have, I just wanted to share, right? To let you guys know what are the things that I'm learning and to sort of reinforce, if I can explain it, right? So vocabulary word number 18 from this week's lesson or last week's lessons plan, right? 分配任务, right? To assign task and responsibility, right? 群聊, right? So group chat, right? Very literal, right? So I guess this is like your Telegram group chats and your whatever, messaging platform that you use, right, for your group chat, right? 主动, take the initiative. 它自动帮我, right? So I always remember it as 自动, like 自己的自, right? 自动, right? Like it's how, like you will move yourself, but apparently it is 主动, right? Next we have 沟通, right? So communicate. 我们需要更好的沟通, right? We need better communication, right? 清闪 is EQ, 智商 is IQ, right? So, yeah, exactly what it means, EQ and IQ, right? Next we have 接触. So 接触 was something that my teacher was trying to explain to me. Gave me many different examples because I think it's probably quite important word, right? So my understanding of it is like connections. So contact and interaction is what is written here. But my understanding is more like it's a connection between people or things, right? So let's see. Okay, in this example, 我还在和他接触，不知道会怎么发出。Right? I'm still in contact with him, not sure how it will develop, right? So, like I guess in a human relationship, right, is to show that you know someone, like you recognize someone, like you acknowledge this person and you are interacting with this person, right? But you have not fully understood. You don't fully know the person, right? It's a concept I'm still trying to fully grasp, right? Okay. Next is 充电机, right? So this was the example that I better understood, right? 我的充电机接触不好, right? So the connection for my charger is bad, right? So, like if your phone charger is not working, 你的充电机接触不好, right? So I mean, it could be the contact, but it could also be like the base station, right? So anyway, right? And another interesting word I thought was 充电宝 as a power bank, right? So this one sort of makes sense to me, right? So I guess once you know 充电 means like to charge or recharge, right? 充电机, is a charger, a machine to charge, right? Then 充电宝 is like your treasury, your reserve of power, right? So it kind of makes sense to me, right? So this was one lesson with my teacher. Okay, this was another lesson with my teacher, right? So I did it a week ago. So there could be some words that I'm going to forget, but let's see. Let's try to read through together, okay? 电台要选出一对最恩爱的夫妻。对比后有3对夫妻入围。Okay. So I guess it's like a television platform or something. I'm not so sure what's 电台. My understanding is like a stage. It's a show. Okay, so they are trying to choose the most loving 很恩爱的夫妻, right? The most loving couple, right? And and they had 3 couples participate, right? So 评委叫第一对夫妻说说他俩是如何恩爱的。妻子说，几年前他全身瘫痪了，医生说他做起来的可能性很小，别人都觉得她的丈夫会跟她离婚，她也想过要自杀，但丈夫一直鼓励她，为她不知找了多少家医院，并且几年如一日的照顾她，从不抱怨。在丈夫的爱护和努力下，她终于站了起来。她的故事十分感人，评委们听了都很感动。Right? So, my understanding. Okay, so the first sentence is the judges ask the first couple to to talk about their love, right? Like, how do they love, right? So the wife said a few years ago she was completely disabled, and the doctor said that the possibility of her being able to stand up again is very slim, right? So other people felt that the husband would divorce her and she would suicide. But the husband always encouraged her and also went to find many hospitals and every day would just would just encourage her 照顾她 look after her, right? Without complaints. So with the husband's loving care and I guess determination, right? Hard work, right? She finally could stand back up. And her story was very sentimental, and the judges were all emotionally moved, right? So this is my understanding of the story, right? That I had to read, right? So as you can see, there were certain words that are highlighted that my teacher had to give the pinyin in, right? So I still, when I read those words with the pinyin, I would still need them because I get confused, right? But overall, looking at it, I think about 80%, right? I can read and understand pretty well, right? So that was for my second Chinese class, right? So we were talking about Enai, right? And just some stories to practice my reading and vocabulary, right? For Korean, okay, I did 1 hour of class. I finished Pimsleur Level 2 Lesson 6, and I finally finished reviewing the 30 essential Korean adjectives for beginners from Talk to Me in Korean. So these are the 30 essential Korean adjectives for beginners, right? So I'll be reading them. 큰, 작은, 먼, 가까운, 쉬운, 어려운, 추운, 더운, 귀여운, 좁은, 넓은, 늦은, 산, 비싼, 아픈, 느린, 빠른, right? 빠른, 같은, 예쁜, 좋은, 많은, 적은, 얇은, 두꺼운, 깨끗한, 더러운, 밝은, 어두운, 긴, 짧은, right? Okay, so these are the 30 Korean adjectives that I reviewed, which is in the Talk to Me in Korean level 1, right? Syllabus, right? So the ones that I highlighted in red were the ones that I've seen, I sort of know, but I don't have it. Like if I was tested randomly, okay, what is bright, right, in Korean? I wouldn't be able to say 밝은, right, which is number 27. But if you ask me, oh, what's pretty? 예쁜. I know 예쁜. What's good? 좋은. Easy. 쉬운. Okay. Big. 큰. Cheap. 싼. Expensive. 비싼. Right? Sick. 아픈. So all these off the top of my head, right, I can just quickly just boom, boom, boom. I can shoot them out, right? But for the ones in red, those are the ones that I do have trouble with. And I suppose it's because I don't actually say these things in life, right? Like, or like during class, right? So there's fewer times where I think of something being narrow or broad, right? So, or 이거 좁은 길이에요. Like this is 이 길이 좁아요. Like this is a narrow road, right? Or this is a spacious road, right? So slow should be something that I probably should know, but it seems a lot more common to ask about, to speak about things being fast, right? Rather than slow, right? So I need to try and remember, narrow, 좁은, spacious, 넓은, slow, 느린, few, 적은, bright, 밝은, dark, 어두운, right? So long and short, I feel, is one of the easier pairs, right? 길어요, 짧아요, 짧아요, right? Thin and thick is in the gray zone, right? 얇아요, 두꺼워요, right? I feel it's like slightly I can remember it if I really think and I guess, but for like bright and dark, narrow and spacious, I need to drill my memory a bit better, or maybe I should think of sentences where these words are in context, right? So that I can, if I ever need to use them, right, like these words, I already know how I can use them, right? So anyway, so these are the 30 essential Korean adjectives for beginners, of which I'm only 24 out of 30, right? Kind of sad, but it is what it is, right? So last week's plan for Japanese, 1 hour of italki lessons, managed to do that. 5 episodes of anime, oh, definitely, might be 10 or 20, right? Maybe 15, 10 or 15, right? 1 lesson of Pimsleur Japanese, level 1, lesson 28. So I guess I'm going to be finishing level 1 in the month of February, right? Because I'll have lesson 29 and lesson 30, and then I'm done, right? So what else did I do this week, right? I did this interesting thing, right? It's a game. It's called Wagotabi, right? So I was watching this YouTube channel, right? From a channel called Mike Learns Japanese, right? So I think he has another channel and he's very popular, but I don't really watch much YouTube, I suppose, right? So I've never heard of him, right? But I did watch this video did come up on my feed, so I looked at it and I saw, wow, this is pretty interesting, right? So it's basically a Pokemon style game, right? So I have another visual here, right? So it's like a Pokemon style game, very pixel graphics, right? Very old school, which is an interesting presentation by itself, right? So you use a D-pad, right? Of course it's a emulated D-pad on your phone, and then you go around this world, and you learn Japanese, right? And so far, I've been playing it for about an hour, and I am quite enjoying it. It's easy stuff, at least for me. There is so far nothing that I've never encountered before, but there's a lot of things which is a good revision for me, right? So, for example, in the screenshot, right, you have Hidari, Ue, Shita, Migi, right? So, left, up, down, right. So, and then you have stop, right? I think it's Tomare, Tome, maybe, right? I mean, in Chinese, this is 字, right? 禁止的止, right? Which is, 禁止 is like prohibited, right? I think the word is 禁止. It's probably the same word, right? But of course, there's a Japanese version of the word which I have not learnt. I'm just guessing, but I think that's the right word. Anyway, eventually when I do get to these words myself, I will learn it, right? So no, I at least for me, I find it quite rare for me to come across Migi and Hidari, right? At least in the materials that I use, right? So interesting stuff, right? What is more interesting is that apparently, as you go on with the story and you progress, what they do is that they will replace words that in Japanese, right? So, for example, in this screenshot, Mike is talking to an old man, and the old man was like, "Okay, I'll tell you who took your suitcase," after explaining a few things in Japanese, right? And then your responses are only yes or no, but instead of yes or no, you have hi and yeah, right? So I don't know. I thought it's pretty cool. It was $6 on the Android store for me, right? So I thought, okay, what the heck? I'll just give it a go. In the worst case, if I don't learn anything, at least it's a lot of reviewing words, but in I would say in a context, right? In a context where you would use those words, right? So far it's going okay. I feel it's a bit slow, but at least it's interesting, right? So yes. And I pretty much have decided on HSK level 5, and I'm trying to make progress on material outside of just Pimsleur and Italki, which is pretty much what I have been doing for about the past 12 weeks, 13 weeks, right? So this week's plan, I will be doing 2 hours of Italki lessons. Hopefully, I will try. I'm going to try and restart doing Closemaster, right? So I think one of the benefits of Closemaster is that the word sets are based on the most common words, right? So like the top 100 words, right? And I feel that at least for Chinese, what I'm lacking isn't really so much the grammar, but it's a lot of missing basic words, right? That I have seen, I've heard before, and I am, maybe like 60, 80% sure of what it means, but I'm not so sure, or 60 to 80% sure on how to pronounce it, right? But I'm also not sure, right? Or 60 to 80% sure about just 60 to 80% sure about certain words, right? So it's like I know I've seen them before, right? But it's just missing me with the full comprehension. And I feel that at least for Mandarin, right? So for Chinese, I feel that probably what I need to improve is my vocabulary. I feel Chinese grammar is not difficult, but maybe it's because I've had so much interaction with the language. I actually don't learn any Chinese grammar. Like if you ask me what are Chinese grammar rules, I probably can't even think of. I probably can't explain any, right? Like it's like Chinese has been a bit more naturally acquired, like English for me. Of course, my English is significantly better, right, than my Chinese. But I feel that Chinese has, for a fair part of it, has been somewhat naturally acquired, whereas Japanese and Korean have both been taught languages, right? So it's languages that I have no contact, well, or not no, but no, functionally no contact with until I was an adult. And then I started learning those two languages. Whereas for Chinese, I was exposed to this as a child, right? So I think that's the main difference. And so in that regards, I feel that for Chinese, perhaps, not perhaps, but I'm almost quite certain that what would help improve my language probably the fastest would be to improve my data bank of vocabulary, at least for Chinese, right? I feel that grammar points and other stuff, not very applicable to Chinese. And Chinese almost has no conjugation, right? I don't think so. I feel like you have like past tense, like, oh, 过了了,走了了, it's like, but, the functionally everything's pretty much the same, right? I feel, yeah, I feel that at least for me, I feel Chinese grammar is not very difficult at all, right? So yeah, I should probably. I'm thinking. So my thinking so far is that I should work on improving my data bank of Chinese vocabulary, and that would probably push me up a lot more into understanding what's going on in the Chinese content around me. Which, to be honest, not that much, right? So next, Korean. 1 hour of an italki lesson. I'll try to do one more Pimsleur lesson. I will try to review level 2, talk to me in Korean, 20 essential Korean phrases for beginners. Okay, I have not seen what are the Korean phrases yet, but I know it's a level 2 course module. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna know all of them. And there'll be no issues, right? I might know all of them, but I may not use some of them, right? So anyway, on my next weekly update, I will, if I finish this, I will put it in, and just like the 30 essential adjectives, I will go through what are the 20 essential phrases and talk about it, right? For Korean, I also feel that where I lack, right, is vocabulary. So I will also be doing close master to try to improve my vocabulary bank. I feel that for the amount of hours and for how long I've been studying Korean, my vocabulary is very poor. So I would like to work on that to increase my vocabulary, right? And I think that would make sentence building a lot easier for me, right? So yeah, I do feel that one of the weaker parts of my Korean is my verbs, right? I struggle a lot figuring out which verb to use in which situations, and sometimes I might not even know the verb at all, right? So it's not even about conjugating the verb; it's that I don't know what verb I should be using, right? Which I feel this just means I need to acquire more verbs, right? So yeah, yes. So Korean. Japanese, 1 hour of italki lessons, continue my 5 episodes of anime. I will be doing one lesson, Pimsleur Japanese, level 1, lesson 29, and I will be trying to make progress on Wagotabi to reinforce a lot of the basics that I have learned, right? I I remember reading, I believe on their website, that their intention is to release material and content that would cover everything up to the N4 syllabus, right? So I believe, if I could be mistaken, but I believe that they plan to have like 5 distinct areas, and these 5 areas would cover up to N4. But so far they have released 2 areas, and it is maybe up to N5. Might not even be fully covering N5. But this is what I understand. I also understand that sometime maybe this month or next month they would be releasing a big update. Well, who knows, right? But the speculation is that another one of these areas or sections would open up, and basically you have expanded content, which means more vocabulary and more things to learn, right? So that would be good. So ideally, I will be powering through Wagotabi and finishing it all the way until clearing all the content that's available. And then I can just wait for the new content to come out, right? And I can just, bench it for the meantime, and then work on other material, right? So, and outside of Chinese, Japanese, Korean, to make progress on the material outside of just Pimsleur and italki classes, right? Which, as you can see, I am trying to do that, right? So let's see how it goes, right? Yes. So that's the end of today's video. It's a slightly longer video than usual because I did miss last week's update, and I did do a fair amount of things over the past 2 weeks. So I wanted to share with everybody the progress that I've been making. I will probably put in the links to Wagotabi, and of course to the Mike Learns Japanese video where he was talking about it. So if you want to learn more about Wagotabi, then you can watch that video. So I don't think I have anything else. I will try to stay accountable to myself. But I suppose that's it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.